Welcome everyone to The Wire. Welcome everyone to beautiful Brunswick Heads. I should have looked at, I'm on Bundjalung country today, up the north of New South Wales, not too far from Tweed Heads. And I want to pay my respects to the elders here, past, present, emerging, and appreciate and acknowledge their deep connection to the land and waters here. I'm getting connected myself to the land and waters here. And to, in this Reconciliation Week, always acknowledge the amazing contribution to our learning that the elders, the keepers of knowledge, make to us wherever we get to connect and learn. We do appreciate it. So welcome to all the people who are preparing for their Service Excellence Accreditation, and even people who have completed it, who are continuing their learning journey right through to their next cycle. My colleagues Kay and Lisa, waving to you now, are joining me as well. I'm just admitting Danella. It's all about strategic planning today. It is the #1 standard in the Service Excellence Framework, right? And we really haven't talked in any detail about specifically your strategic plan. We've talked about planning. But today we're going to be talking about strategic planning. Lovely to see you, Danella and friend. Hello, friend.
Morning, Marie. How are you?
Great.
Good morning, everyone. Morning, Kay.
Danella, so nice to see your face.
Danella.
You too.
You want to turn it into a party, is Danella?
Absolutely. So this is our new business trainee, Melanie.
Great.
So I thought it might be nice for her to join this morning.
Excellent. Terrific. Well, I think before we get too far into it, I don't like to do this too early because then people join and miss them out. But let's whip around quickly and just say the name of the organisation that we're from and maybe where you are located, because people might not know that. Felicity, are you happy to start?
Oh, sure. Just had to unmute. I'm Felicity. I'm from Moree Family Support and I'm the Finance and Compliance Officer.
Thank you so much. Anna and Madeline, I'll just invite you now to type your organisation and your location in the chat, and I'll everyone will be able to see that. Fiona.
Yeah, good morning. Fiona, I'm from Bonnie Support Services in southwestern Sydney.
Lovely. Tina, hello.
Hi, Tina Reynolds from Runner Support Service in Dubbo.
Lovely to have you here, Tina.
Thank you.
And Kiralee.
Hi everyone, I'm Kira Lee from Linking Communities Network in Griffith, with services in Wagga and Albury as well on Wiradjuri country.
Thank you. Thank you. Danella?
Hi, I'm Donella and I'm with Tamworth Family Support Service, TFSS, and we're located in Tamworth and outlying areas.
Beautiful. Thank you. Anna is joining us from Dubbo. Thanks, Anna. Also from Arana, and Madeline is joining us from Linking Communities Network in Griffith. Friends all, and everyone who's joining us via the recording, welcome to you. Strategic planning. Shall we take a look at the ACES requirements for strategic planning? Because we want to make sure that my 10 steps that I'm bringing you and any tips that my fellow assessors can bring you align with that. So let's get the drum first. I'm just sharing the screen so that we can all have a look. I know that you would know this very well by now. If you are coming up to developing a strategic plan, so you're at the end of maybe your 3-year cycle or your 5-year cycle, or if you're coming up for your annual review of your strategic plan, this is a good place to check in, to just make sure that you're doing everything that aligns with the requirements of the standards, right? So as well as the requirements of your organisation, but, just to make sure that you're in line with what service excellence requires. So the role and the values of the organisation are identified and communicated. So you do want to make sure that they are included in the plan. It's a great place to promote the role and values of the organisation. Also a good thing to connect with as you're getting ready to plan. The next one is, there are 6 indicators here in this standard. The next one is, planning is informed by review processes that identify the threats and areas for improvement, opportunities for innovation and potential alliances. Now, That sounds a lot like a SWOT analysis, doesn't it? For those of you who've used that before, to be able to get a bit of a sense of the context for planning. So we would be, we're looking for evidence that you've had a look at your performance, your organisational performance data, that tells you a story about how well you're doing, that you've done some sort of analysis of the current environment and what sort of opportunities and threats it presents to you, and you're understanding the strengths and weaknesses of the organisation that could be leveraged and developed, right? So that's the context for planning. That's super important pre-work. That's done before you come to have your, planning event. The third one is you've got a strategic plan and it has been developed in consultation with key stakeholders. I'm going to talk to you about doing a stakeholder analysis as part of your pre-work before you get ready to plan. That's important because some of them you want to keep close in this process and others you want to maybe have them participate in a review of the draft. So analysing who they are and how important they are to you will determine how close you want to keep them. The fourth one here is identifying opportunities where early intervention and prevention will improve outcomes. So in the preparation for planning that you have done, for example, a community profile, you've had a look at any emerging trends in the community that you would need to respond to. You're aware of contemporary best practice when it comes to the way that you deliver your programs, for example. I know that it's been a long time coming and it's not here yet, but in the homelessness space, they've been developing an outcomes framework. So let's just say that had been launched mid-plan, you'd want to make sure that you were considering that in the way that you developed your strategy going forward, because it would impact greatly on valuation. And review of service models to identify where there's researched evidence-based best practice that you might want to implement in the way that you deliver your programs, such as, trauma-informed practice has been something that's sort of emerged over the last 5 years, isn't it? So you want that participant-centred, client-centred approach, even co-design approaches to be part of the way that you go forward. So that's important, that you're sort of able to give us some examples of where you've identified, opportunities for your organisation. You are communicating those objectives, such as the strategic objectives, to relevant stakeholders. So some people do that through the website, they do that through having a launch party, they do that by sending it out. Putting it on the seat at the AGM, those sorts of things. And the last one here is that there is a defined process for reporting and review against the strategic plan. So this is where things like the manager's report or the CEO's report to the board become important. Maybe there's a periodic review of the plan and that sort of summary, a quarterly summary is given to the board, for example. Depends on your size, but you will need to show evidence that you're regularly reviewing. Okay. So there you go. Those are the 6 indicators of success, if you like, in the strategic planning standard. Makes sense, doesn't it? I mean, it's almost like a system in itself, the way that it's documented there. I'll stop sharing that for a minute. I'll just get you to wave your hands or write in the chat to me. Are people in the stage now where they're thinking of reviewing their plan? Is it usually coming up to the end of the financial year when this happens, or do people do it a calendar year? I'm just interested in what the group are doing with the sort of timing of their plan.
Hi, it's Kira Lee. Yeah, ours is financial year.
Okay, so you're coming up to either developing or reviewing, depending on the cycle.
Yes, developing the new one. Yeah.
Oh, exciting. Okay, great. Here's an opportunity for you then. Is everyone else on a calendar year with their strategic plans, or are people on a financial year? Give me a wave if you're financial year. Yep, it seems like most people. Okay, great. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. What matters when it comes to service excellence is that it's current. All right. So if you're a bit out of step at the time that you're having your assessment, you probably would find that would be a gap. All right, unless you had it in draft. Is that right, Kay? She loves the way I do that. I wait till she's got the cup up to her mouth and then I say, is that right, Kay?
Steering without a map, Marie.
Yep. Yep. All right. Now, Lisa and Kay have done lots of assessments and we'll probably, just in line with what I just said there, it would be a gap if you didn't have one. Are there any other gaps around strategic planning that you gals have identified that you'd like to share as an insight with the group when it comes to strategic plans?
Something I've seen a bit is there's effort put into it, but organisations that maybe are a couple of years down the track and then going through their accreditation preparation have lost all of their documentation of it. So it's all very kind of casual, it's meetings and stuff like that. And it gets massaged into a nice looking strategic plan, but there's no kind of working documents or anything where you can see, you know, what analysis was brought to the table and that sort of stuff.
Excellent. Yes. So scrounging around for those little bits of evidence to support those ones around identifying improvement opportunities and doing the performance analysis, the performance data analysis. Yeah, okay. I've got a suggestion around that to help. Lisa?
Yeah, I think the biggest one that I've seen is people that may be only slightly into their strategic planning journey, and so they rush something through, but they haven't actually consulted with the rest of the organization and who else have they brought on board. It's not strictly a board thing to do, it's strictly the CEO's thing to do. It needs to, or, you know, leaving the staff or stakeholders out altogether.
Excellent. Excellent. That's helpful. Yeah, that's a trend that I see a bit as well. Is it, oh, it's due, let's just quickly do it. Or the assessor's coming, let's just quickly do it. Yeah.
Or there's one meeting, there's just like one big workshop that you might invite lots of people to, but yeah, it needs a bit more preparation than don't just turn up and have a brainstorm.
No, don't just go and have a retreat and, you know, come to Brunswick Heads here and look at the water and navel gaze. You know, it really is a very important part of the work of the governance team to set the strategic direction for the organisation. Yeah.
Can I just ask, we did ours with our staff. We did two separate workshops. We did one with the board and one with the staff. Ours was a 3-year strategic plan. Are we looking at more 5 years or 3 years when we've been assessed? And do you want us to bring clients in on those strategic plan meetings?
It's up to you, the length of your plan. You know, at the moment, with a lot of uncertainty and what's the length of your, generally the length of your contracting with your major funders, I believe, is 3 years. So a lot of organisations kind of align themselves with that. And I've noticed the last few years, certainly the last sort of 3 years, people have been developing shorter term plans, so 2-year strategic plans, because they've really not known, you know, what the trends are, because it was all thrown up in the air, you know, with COVID. And so it's really up to you. I'm going to talk you through understanding the context for planning, because I think that that's what would inform you, Tina.
Yeah, beautiful. Because I know that.
No, sorry, go.
I know the minister announced on Monday that the extension of SHS services for 2 years, and then with the further 5 years. So, I mean, really going forward, we should be doing the 2 years, and then we can contract then to the 5 years.
See, that makes sense. That makes perfect sense. So I'm hearing something there that I obviously, you know, I'm not in the room when these sorts of things are announced. So you'll be recommissioning next year, or will it be 2026?
So
2026.
Yeah, Rose Jackson announced 2026 will be recommissioned, and it will be going forward. Contracts won't be 3; they'll be 5 years.
Oh, wow. All right. So how do people generally feel about that? Are the smiles on, or is it like we've been told? Yeah, okay. All right. Well, there's still some organisations to engage with this, but all of the people in this room here are going to be well into their rolling along 3-year service excellence cycles. So it's good news for everybody here. And it's good news for people who might need a bit more time. And 5-year funding. Ooh.
Yeah, that's a big step. That's a great a big step for our industry. And I know that I sit on the Homeless New South Wales board, and that's something that we've been pushing now for many, many years. So
wonderful.
we're happy to see the minister announce on Monday that the contracts will be 5 years.
Well, if you go to 5-year strategic plans, the annual review part of the process is going to become very important, because it will pick up on those things that you'll need to shift a bit in the plan in order to be meeting the needs of the current environment, yes, because things change. So that's wonderful news for everybody. That's happy news for the sector. All right. Are you ready with your pens there? Are you ready with your pens? Because I'm going to give you 10 steps. So I'm thinking about strategic planning as a process now. So if you're going to meet all of those indicators of success in the service excellence, I would suggest these steps. Now, I'm breaking this up into pre-work, so you can hear what I'm saying. So before you have your strategic planning event, whether it's review or developing a new plan, doesn't matter. So I'm saying there's some things you'll do pre your strategic planning event. There'll be some things that you need to nail during your strategic planning event. And then there'll be some things that you'll do post your strategic planning event. All right, so that's how I've divvied them up if you want to group them. If you think 10's too many and you want to just work on 3 phases, do that. Okay, step 1. So I'm suggesting that you draw yourself, some sort of mind map, or you draw yourself a grid, that's got 10 boxes or 10 steps. Draw maybe 10 steps, however this comes to you, or just number the 1 to 10 down the page, if that's all you can muster today. Number 1 is called stakeholder analysis. Now, when the service excellence says engage stakeholders, this stakeholders, that share, communicate with stakeholders, you're not going to nail that unless you know who your stakeholders are. So I'm suggesting that you do quite a formal, structured stakeholder analysis. Now, really what that means is getting a few people around the table who know the organisation well, and simply listing all of the people that you play with, all the people who care about the plans that you might be making. Now, I'm thinking, obviously, clients' voice. Clients are in there as a key stakeholder. And I'm thinking staff are in there. And just keep going. What I do with groups when I'm facilitating this is I just get post-it notes for everyone, and I just go bang, we just go bang, 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 bang. We might end up with 20. The police might be in there, other services will be in there, if you work with schools, all that there. And then you're going to rank them. Now, a formal stakeholder analysis would have you rank them, okay? A, B, C, D, in terms of their importance and their influence. Now, that's a whole other workshop that we might do another time, doing a stakeholder analysis. But there are plenty of really great templates that you can use. And when you rank them in terms of how important they are and how influential they are over you and your plans, right? You get to decide, are these people that we need to have at the strategic planning event? Or are these people who we will send a copy when it's done? Or are these people that we need to involve in that reviewing the draft, right? So when you've ranked your stakeholders, you'll know if they're an A, for example, they come up as an A, and that they're very influential in terms of your success and they're very important to your success, then they should be in the room. Right?
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Because you love me asking questions. What's the difference between importance and influence?
Right. So they are important to the success of your plan. You could not do it without them. And they're influential in terms, oh, excuse me. They make decisions. Like they have power over your organisation. Right. So DCJ, you don't need to be holding their hand in order to deliver your services to your community, but they're very influential over your organisation because they fund you. You see what I mean? Yeah. So that they could make or break you. Importance means, you know, oh, we certainly couldn't deliver on any of our objectives if we weren't working closely with them. So importance and influence is generally the two sort of matrix the axis that you would use there when you're doing your stakeholder analysis. Look up, there's lots of templates. Okay. But if you've got A's, which are the most important, they should be in the room. If you've got D's, which are the least important and influential to you, that might be like, I don't know, who could that be, like local council? I don't know. I mean, if you work very closely with council, of course they're going to be A or B, but if they're just there and you are in their LGA, they might be a D, and you might just send them a copy of the plan, for example. See? So do a stakeholder analysis.
Can I just ask something also? Sorry.
Oh.
In terms, I don't know whether you've had feedback. I'm just thinking in regional and rural areas, stakeholders of other services, this competitive environment are competitors of ours. So do we really want them as part of our strategic plan? Like, for instance, if you're thinking of moving, you know, into early intervention and prevention or into community housing or something like that, or stakeholders are other community housing agencies, you are technically, I guess, flagging for them that you're becoming a competitor, or otherwise, it just in rural areas that doesn't sit well because of the competitive nature that we've all been forced into.
Sure. Now, if they're a competitor of yours, I'm just going to say this, you'll do the analysis and you'll work it out. I don't think that they're going to necessarily be a stakeholder. So I'm just saying that that's generally how it works out, because they will not currently be helping you to deliver your services, and they will currently not have power over you as an organisation, right, as a competitor. So they may not be a stakeholder at all. But if there's a tension about confidentiality, then they may not be in the room when you're doing your planning, but most organisations put their strategic plan on their website, so it's there anyway. So you might ask yourself, how can you keep your information protected when we're saying the standards say communicate your objectives, you're a community service, your own community owns you, you're there to serve the community. So, you know, I sometimes think if we're doing our best and we are a way out in front service and we're a leading service, I don't care if people see what we're doing, because they can copy what we did yesterday. Tomorrow we're going to be doing something very different. You know, like you can't really hide information these days, particularly in a regional town.
And can I just say, I totally agree with what, is it Kirralie?
Yeah.
Was saying, because we're in a regional town and most of our stakeholders who we work together with on, you know, Youth Week events, Homeless Week events, and who we refer to, they're also major competitors in the tender process.
Yeah.
So everyone is in the regional areas are very protective of what they do, and they don't like to put it all out there, because if they do, you turn around and the next organisation's trying to get in before you do. And so I think, look, it's different to being in the city and larger areas, because you have a larger range of people and stakeholders that you're dealing with. We're here, it's a small group, and most of them are after your funding.
Yeah, well, I want to ask you then, Tina, how are you going to keep your strategic plan a secret?
Well, look, I mean, I think there's certain parts of your strategic plan that you would keep confidential. You wouldn't go telling them what your future plans are, and you wouldn't put it out. I would never put that out on my website, because if my competitor, and we've had a competitor who we've worked closely with, that actually come in and just stole one of our contracts. Like, undermined us. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that's what you're seeing in the regional areas. What I would do would probably be the confidential side of the strategic plan. I certainly wouldn't be putting it out on public display because, I mean, that
Yeah.
is really confidential to our organisation, what our future plans are in our
Okay.
strategic plan. So,
Okay.
I mean, there's areas that we want to go into,
Yes.
and we're working very closely with organisations around this
Mm-hmm.
that aren't in our town. And I don't want to give my competitors the head up. This is what we're doing.
No. Well, what I will say is the strategic plan usually doesn't have the level of detail that would be a secret. It doesn't have how you're going to do anything, really. It has what are you going to do? What are your areas of strategic focus? And it is determined by the service excellence, framework that it is best practice to share it with your key stakeholders and to involve them in that process. So when you do an analysis of who your key stakeholders are, you might say, look, it's only our A and Bs that are going to get a copy of this, or it's only our A's who we're going to involve in the decision-making and planning, So, yeah, an organisation would rarely be setting the direction, in isolation from what's going on in their community and who their key supporters and partners are. So that's the message there. But I totally get what you're saying. I totally get what you're saying. I mostly do my work in regional areas, and though that hasn't come up specifically before, I know that they're a little less likely to invite a lot of people into the process, is what I've noticed. Okay, so it's totally what you get as a read on your community.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
I'm just wondering if the strategic plan would relate to the contracts that you currently have, and like if you've got the contract, they're not your competitor for that contract. They might be the competitor for recontracting. Would that be right, Tina? Or we're talking about new contracts?
Well, they could be competitors for grants that come up, and
it could be competitors for grants. I suppose. Yeah. But I'm just wondering if some of that stuff that's private belongs in a business development plan, not a strategic plan.
Yeah, we're very high level in the strategic plan.
Yeah, your business development plan is definitely confidential. Mm-hmm. So you could perhaps separate it out that way.
Definitely. Moving along, and I really appreciate your contributions, and the perspective that you bring is very helpful for everyone. So wade in, lean in. Step 2, performance analysis. So what you'll need to know is how's your organisation going? And what this can sometimes involve is the stakeholder surveys, the client surveys, the staff surveys, having a look at how you're travelling financially, anything that tells you a story about how well you're doing. If it's coming up for review of your strategic plan, you could look at data that tells you how successful you've been in the last year, 2 years, 3 years with your previous plan. All right, but you need to be making decisions in the environment that tells you a lot about your organisation. All right, so get all that performance data together and summarise it for the people who are going to be helping you with decision making and planning. So the board and the staff that are invited and the leadership team. Yeah. So performance analysis is important, particularly if you're doing a review, because it'll inform if you need to make a change or adjust your plan in any way. Remember, a plan is just something to deviate from. It's not set in concrete. If you review it and you change a few things, that's normal and expected. And that's how a good plan would evolve. It would stay current with what's going on in the environment. Yeah, because you're agile and you're changing and you're flexible and adaptable. Okay. Now we get into the event. So when we are, excuse me. When we are supporting organisations to develop their strategic plan, we might be there as a facilitator. the first thing that I ask people to do is connect with their purpose, connect with their why. Why do they exist? What's most important to them as an organisation? Now, generally, this will be described in your constitution, in your constitutional objectives, your objects of the association, why you exist, what you exist to do. All right. Certainly, the ACNC needs you to know why you exist and what's the purpose of your organisation for charitable reasons. But I suggest that you have a look at your vision and your mission and review your constitutional objectives and get connected with the purpose of your organisation, because you will see over 3 years you could be getting slightly off track. I have seen this happen to organisations that have been maybe largely community service organisation, very generalist, and then turning into an NDIS organisation. Like, phew, right? So they become a very different sort of a service because there was this opportunity through NDIS. I'm just saying, you know, you can get taken off track. Bright, shiny lights, lots of money. Oh, let's go over there. So coming back to your core. Then the context for your planning. Now, this requires you to do something very fancy pants called an environmental scan. It basically means doing this, putting your good goggles on and lifting your head up and looking around as broadly as you can, because you are making decisions and you are making a plan in a certain environment. All right. So here I suggest, and what we like to lead people through, is doing a SWOT analysis. All right. A very simple way to force people into having a good look all around. So get your pen out now and just draw to the side of that lovely list. Just draw across, like, you know, hot cross bun type cross. And SWOT, S-W-O-T, strengths and weaknesses. Now, these are strengths and weaknesses internally. All right, so S and W, internal. So what are our strengths inside the organisation? What are our weaknesses inside the organisation? You know, when it comes to what's going on, what are our strengths and weaknesses that we bring into the challenges of today, right? And then the O and the T, opportunities and threats, external. What opportunities are coming from out there? Ooh, opportunities, 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 partnerships, money, growth. And what are the threats that are coming from outside?
Competitors.
Oh dear, so sorry.
It's all that fine country air you're breathing out there, Marie.
It is, I don't know. I was just, I was talking to someone from Moree on the phone and she was saying, don't come here, we're all sick.
No.
Just talking to her on the phone has made me unwell. Lozenge, here we go. So this is where having many people around the table can be super helpful. Many perspectives. Now, I'm going to give you a minute to imagine that you are sitting at the table with your people and you're thinking about your plan. Put one thing in each of those boxes right now. Just put one thing in each of those boxes. And then I'll work with you on how that ends up in the plan. Why don't I get you to type a couple of the things that you've put in opportunities and threats, because I think that will be relevant to your colleagues here. Your strengths and weaknesses are internal. You don't have to out yourself there, but What about opportunities and threats that you see? They might be sort of sector-wide things. Why don't you type in the chat to me and I'll read them out for the people who are watching the recording. Opportunities and threats. 5-year funding. I feel like that's an opportunity. Thank you, Felicity. Opportunities, growth and funding. And growth could also be a threat. So you could even take that and go and put it in the threat box, because growth, you know, stretch for an organisation, it can be a challenging time. All right, so opportunities and threats in the external environment. Now, I don't want to bend your brain too much around this, but if I was working with you as your facilitator and we were doing our SWOT, I would actually spend a fair bit of time here. I wouldn't just do it as a, you know, a fun team building activity. This is quite important. And so I would actually get you to attack the SWOT using a pestle. Doesn't that sound ridiculous? What's in that lozenge, Marie? I know. This is what I want you to think about. Just quickly write down this word, pestle, P-E-S-T-L-E, P-E-S-T-L-E. All right, it is a way to force everyone around the table to really think broadly about the external environment. And I want you to think about the opportunities and threats through P for political, through the political lens, right? What's happening with the policies and policies, right? E is for economic, right? The money story. I want you to think about the opportunities and threats through the money story, E for economic. S is the social. I want you to think about the opportunities and threats through the social lens, to do with the people. All right, so you might have waves of this and that. Certainly workforce is one of those opportunities and threats. T is for technology. There are lots of opportunities and threats when it comes to T for technology. L is for legislative. There are lots of opportunities and threats when it comes to the legal and regulatory environment. And the second E is for environment. Now you can think about this in terms of sustainability, but you can also think about it specifically in your environment. And some people are saying, we're in the regions, it's different. So think about your regional environment. If you're remote, your remote environment. Okay. Now that's a way just to structure that brainstorm when it comes to those external opportunities and threats. Okay. So hopefully helpful. Hopefully helpful. All right. The next thing we're doing is we're taking each of those boxes and we are going to turn them into a plan. Thank you for the things that you're putting in there. We've got things like threats, being able to get and retain skilled staff. We've got development of partnerships and joint funding applications, opportunity and a threat, right? Working with a partner, there's always risk there. So threats is just another word for risk. Okay, what do we do? Let's just say we've got a great big piece of poster paper, we've done that, we've sat around the table and we've spent a good sort of hour on that. This is what we do. With the S box, we're going to take all these things off the SWOT now and we're going to put them into the plan, okay? The S box, I want you to write across it, strengths to leverage. All right, so you don't just go, oh, strengths, how nice, we're great. You take them and you put them into the plan as an action, such as use our strength for this. You know, we could sell it, we could turn it into a social enterprise, we could share it with other organisations, you know, those sorts of things. So we are going to leverage our strengths. The W box, what are we going to do with these weaknesses? We are going to develop our weaknesses. So we are going to have a lot of things in the plan that say, right, we're going to have to get better at this and we're going to have to do more of that. And we need some knowledge about this and we need to get rid of that person, whatever it is, right? We're going to develop our weaknesses, right? To the point where they're going to be strengths. Okay. We go to our O, opportunities are coming. Bing, 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 bing. Opportunities are falling from the sky. And we don't want to miss any. We don't want to be looking over here and going, oh, look at that, that's nice. And there goes an opportunity that passed us by. This is what we're going to do with our opportunities. We are going to be strategically positioned. Right? We're going to get strategically positioned ready for when those opportunities come. And anything that's in that threat box is going to end up in your risk plan. And you are going to, what's the word we use when we talk about minimizing the risk impact on us? It starts with M.
Mitigate.
Yes, I heard everybody saying it there, mitigate those risks. So the best place to mitigate your risks is in a risk plan. There you go. You have a lot of things there to put into your plan. Now, this is the way that I would deal with it. I would actually have a look at all the things on there, all the things to leverage, all the things to develop, all the things to get strategically positioned for, and all the things to mitigate. And I would come up with the group that I'm facilitating with. I would come up with some key projects. Now, not specific projects necessarily. These will not necessarily end up in the strategic plan, but it gets the group excited about, oh, we could do this. Oh, we should be doing that. Oh, we should be doing more of that. And this is going to be awesome for us as well. So just get a big brain dump of key projects down. All right, get people excited about dreaming big. All right, it doesn't have to be things, oh, but we couldn't do that because la, la, la. Just get it all down. Get it all down. And this is what we do next. Take all those ideas, all those projects, all those actions, those things you're excited about, and categorize them into what we are calling strategic focus areas. All right, that's what I'm calling them. You can call them goals, doesn't matter. But you're going to have maybe 5. Right, 5's a good number when it comes to strategic focus areas. These could be called strategic objectives. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. But all those wonderful ideas about how we're going to get stronger and how we're going to improve and how we're going to get positioned for the opportunities and how we're going to mitigate risk, all those projects, all those amazing ideas can now be categorised into what we're calling the key strategic focus areas, all right? And that's what goes into the plan. Your key focus areas, your strategic focus areas, all right? So to keep it high level, to take on board what Kirrily and Tina were saying before, you could have one focus area that's called impactful partnerships. Right? Just impactful partnerships. And that's an area of focus for us. We're going to make sure all our partnerships are giving us a good bit of bang for our buck there, right? One of them could be governance, stronger governance. Could be a skilled workforce. Whatever it is, those projects tell you. We could come up with 5 strategic focus areas. All right, so there you've got your plan. You've got your key strategic focus areas. If you get to that point in your beautiful strategic planning event, you can then go and sort of operationalise it in a business plan, in an operational plan, top secret plan, right? All right, you've had a beautiful day. Everybody goes home. This is when the facilitators get very busy putting it all together for you, all right? And the facilitators will send you back a draft, or someone will send you a draft. Then you're going to determine who gets input into the draft, okay? So this is called step 6. This is called the draft, feedback on the draft. And there'll be some people who might be, when you did your stakeholder analysis, they might be your B's and C's that you're giving an opportunity to feedback into the draft. I recently did one for an independent primary school, and they wanted all of their parents and friends, parents and carers, sorry, to have feedback on the draft. Step 7 is finalise the plan. All right, so everybody agrees, the governance agrees this is the plan. Step 8 is communicate the plan. Now, this happens in many ways for different organisations. Some organisations put it on their website. Tell me what you do. If you want to unmute yourself and tell us how you communicate the plan, but I'm suggesting that you have a launch. I'm suggesting that you choose, you know, it could be an online event or it could be something that you've got special in your calendar anyway and you launch your plan there. All right. It could be something that you send out to certain people. How do you do it? I'm just going to ask Donella, how do you share your strategic plan, Donella?
How do we share it? So we put it onto the website, we send it to relevant stakeholders and we share it internally with the staff and yeah.
Nice one. Fiona?
Yes, I don't think we put it on the website. We do share it with stakeholders and internally. But our last one came out in COVID, so that wasn't a launch party.
No. All right, but you think about, this is a document that a lot of people have contributed to, and this is the governance team's vision for the future of the organisation, you know, so, and it's something that you're offering your community. All right, so think about ways to communicate the plan, how you launch the plan. Step 9, you now need to go and operationalise this plan, and I like to say this is giving the plan legs. All right, because otherwise it's just a lofty dream. All right, a plan is just a dream unless it has legs, unless you operationalise it, and you'll operationalise it by aligning it with your other plans. All right, because a strategic plan is quite high level, isn't it? It's quite, we used to use this word a lot, motherhood. Now that's too gender specific a term to use, but you know what I mean, right? So you will operationalise this by developing a business plan or an operational plan, just depending on your lingo. That's really a semantic thing, so don't worry about that. As long as you've got something that maybe gives it year to year, gives it some priority. So you might say, this is what we're going to do year 1, year 2, year 3. All right. Generally, the CEO or the highest delegated person would have responsibility for the operational actions to bring about the goals in the plan. You'll also operationalise it through a risk plan, and you'll also operationalise it through individual work plans. So every person in your organisation should be able to see how their work contributes to the strategy. You're getting a lot of sun in here now, you can see. I'm lighting up. And step 10, if anyone knows, of course everybody knows what it's going to be the first to say it or type it. Step 10. Also number 6 in the Service Excellence Framework, 1.1.6 for my fellow assessors will know what it is.
Send us that review.
Yes. Vanilla chicken dinner. Winner chicken dinner. All right. Yes, review. Now, there's 2 ways that you're going to need to review. You're going to need to think about at least an annual review. And you'll need to think about what we call a periodic review. Now, you decide the period, but what a lot of organisations do is they will align the manager's or the CEO's report with those key strategic focus areas. That's one way you can do it. So whatever the CEO or the manager is reporting up to the board or the committee, it can now be in the language of those key objectives, right? And or it can be like a quarterly or 6-monthly report back on progress against those goals. I mean, obviously it'll be progress against the business plan or operational plan, but this session is about strategic plan. So I just want to say that alignment's really important. Yeah. We need to see it, so at least use some numbering. Sound all right? Now, should we show you some examples?
Yes, please.
The resources I've got for you are first thing I'm going to show you is a suggested agenda for a strategic planning event. So I'm doing one that's coming up next week. So I've got this freshie. I've redacted it, but I've got this freshie. And the way that they are doing it is they are having a day with the board and the executive leadership team. So they've probably got a team of about 20 or 30 family domestic violence service. Domestic family violence service. Sorry, I always get it mixed up. So one day with the board and the exec, and then the other day with the exec and the staff. So this is what their agenda looks like. Just to make sure I've got it on the screen. Mm-hmm. So you can see all the things that we've talked about here. So I'm going to slide through this fairly quickly, okay? Talia is a local Aboriginal lady. She's going to be doing some connecting to country stuff. Performance data, achievements, some key questions, a bit of a framework around considering the context and doing the swap, the pestle. Oh no, this is the messy one. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I've opened up the wrong version. But anyway, day 2. Looking at the big picture here, connecting with the mission, the vision, reviewing our progress, how are we going, a bit of team building, having a look at the team plans and using an appreciative inquiry model to get the teams to think about what's been working well. A bit of learning. And then some key success factors and enablers and next steps there. And where they're actually putting the plan together is here in the key improvement projects and making the plan there. All right. I wanted to also share with you a pre-survey we did, but we'll have a look at a couple of actual strategic plans first. I did a pre-survey with an organisation just because they didn't have a lot of time for the review of their strategic plan. So we did a Survey Monkey before they got started. Now you'll see some similarities in these plans in terms of structure, but some are quite detailed and some are very simple. So, you know, it's up to the organisation how they roll with this. So this is these are all public. So these are ones that we've assisted them to develop that are on their website. So I'm just happy to share these with you. So let's just take, you know, have a look at they had quite a lot of detail because they have just so many stakeholders because they're a family violence executive. So it is actually a big stakeholder group. So they use their strategic plan as an opportunity to give their stakeholders some information about the context of their work. So things like data. And then they've got their strategic priorities. Obviously, vision, purpose, our objectives are very important to having the plan, who their membership is. They've got some general principles around their approach and, you know, their guiding principles on how they think about domestic and family violence. Lots on their achievements in here, current challenges in the environment. Let's just get down to their key focus areas. What are you doing? Or is it still loading, is it? Where's it gone? Just show you another one while it's playing out. This is a lovely one that we did here with a volunteer group providing community transport. And this is only 8 pages. And they wanted to highlight, you know, the lovely images and stories around their volunteers. I've got an issue with my things loading. Ah, here we go. Sorry. There's an example of the strategic goals. Yeah. And an even simpler one, which I found recently that I'm using as a bit of a guide to developing one for this primary school, is this beautiful number here, which is just 4 pages, or, you know, an A3 back and front. So still they've got their purpose and their vision there. They've got some sample initiatives and actions there. So that is the front page on the right and the back page on the left. And then this is how it opens up in the middle. So this middle page is what they will use as a poster in a big frame at their reception, and it'll be throughout the school, and it'll be given to all, you know, parents and families.
Isn't that pretty?
Very pretty, very pretty. Yeah, so this is a community school. Yeah, so that's some of the examples of some work that we've been doing with some of our clients. This is work we love to do. So I'm happy to share those examples with you. And the other resources that I'll be sharing with you when they come out is the governance performance survey, a sample of the questions that you can use to get the governance thinking about their performance in terms of that review, you know, reviewing performance data, bring that to the table. So I'll give you a easy survey that you can use on SurveyMonkey. I'll also give you a strategic planning survey, which is getting ready to plan type of a survey that you could send out to your team to get them thinking on, you know, oh, what are we excited about? And I'll send you those examples. I'll give you those examples of the ones we just looked at. And I'll also share with you that proper agenda for the strategic planning event. So you've got a way of putting it into practice. How's that feel now? How does that feel now? Please reach out to us because this is work that we love to do, our organisational development side of our work. We love to help you out with this. So get in touch if we can be helpful in any way. Take and use those resources, make them your own. Any questions before we turn the recording off? I have enjoyed my time with you. I'm sorry about my coughing and spluttering. Thanks for putting up with us and for letting us record it for all the people who are interested in learning who can't be here. It's wonderful to see your faces always. And even if I'm not seeing your faces, Anna and Madeline, I'm very, very happy that you're here. Everybody wave because it looks so good. Enjoy your day.
Thank you, Marie.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Lisa.
It was lovely. Thank you. Very
Thanks,
informative.
Marie. Great to see everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Mhm.